Don't push back. Oh. Don't push back. Oh. Don't push back. Oh. Don't push back. Don't push back. Oh. Don't push back. Oh. Don't push back. Don't push back. Conscience under pressure. Conscience under pressure. Huh? Conscience under pressure. You can shake it anyway. Well, you can shake it anyway. Oh. Well, you can shake it anyway. Oh. Well, you can shake it anyway. Push back. Don't push back. Don't push back. Don't push. That's the limit. Don't push back. Don't. No, that's the limit. Don't push back. Don't. No, that's the limit. Don't push back. Don't. Oh, that's the limit. Don't push back. Don't. Yes, that's the limit. Don't push back. Don't. Oh, that's the limit. Don't push back. Don't push. You can shake it anyway. Oh, love. Oh. You can shake it anyway. Oh. Don't push back.
Hello, everyone. Hello. How are we all doing? That's what I like to hear. Happy Toronto Tech Week. We are so happy you could all join us today. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Iran Karimian. I'm the head of Google Canada's Startup and Accelerator programs. And we are here today to celebrate the 7th Google for Startup Accelerator Canada cohort. So we have a full house here in Toronto, and I've heard that there's many more outside waiting to come in, and we have quite a few friends joining us online. So wherever you are, we really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for coming. So I'd like to start today with land acknowledgement. I'd like to start by acknowledging that Google Canada is situated upon ancestral lands. Across the country known as Canada and across all of Turtle Island, there are many Indigenous peoples, nations, and lands that have been affected by colonization. Taking the opportunity to acknowledge the original stewards of these lands is an important way to work towards reconciliation. Thank you. So here at Google, we have the great pleasure of supporting the Canadian startup ecosystem through our accelerator programs. We've been running these programs since 2020, and we are so proud of the alumni that we've had the great pleasure of working with. For those who don't know, these are 10-week equity-free programs for high-potential technology startups in the region. These startups are to be building with artificial intelligence, of course, or machine learning, and exhibit really strong potential to make significant impact in innovation within the country. We run these programs globally. So globally, since 2016, we've graduated over 2,000 startups that have a combined portfolio valuation of 135 billion USD. So we're investing in founders. Of course, they're building great startups, but we're really investing in high potential founders that have an opportunity to grow and scale and be successful in Canada, but also on a global stage. So like I mentioned earlier, we started these programs in 2020 in Canada. And as of today, as of the cohort today, we'll have over 162 Canadian founders that we have graduated from our program. So we're incredibly proud of that. We've been supporting these programs, or supporting founders through these programs since 2020, and this has really come to life through our programming in our offices in Toronto, Montreal, and Waterloo. But what I love most about this program is that it's open to founders all across the country, and so we're really meeting innovation right where it's at. So there's many parts of the ecosystem that make this all work, right? Of course, there's the startups, like the amazing cohort that you see on the screen here. They are the ones that are building, taking a big risk and chance, innovating, and really just, driving that change in society. And then we have a network of supporters. We have, a variety of Google mentors and advisors, like the many folks you see on this screen, and some more on this screen. And these folks are volunteers, and they lend their time, passion, and energy on top of their full-time jobs to support the cohort. We have our leaders across Google, Google Cloud, and Google DeepMind who have dedicated time with this cohort and shared the lessons and the latest from Google. We, of course, have our alumni, many of whom are in the room, who have shared their experiences and their lessons learned along the way and have just become great friends and advocates of the program. And lastly, we have the VCs and funders who are sharing sage advice and funding opportunities for startups. So a big thank you again to everyone who supported the program and supported this cohort this year. We can't thank you enough. So we are here today to celebrate the 14 Canadian startups in the 2026 cohort. Woohoo! These startups are addressing challenges in healthcare, life sciences, social assistance, real estate, construction, manufacturing, agriculture, finance, and a whole lot more. And this cohort really reflects the diversity of Canada. We have startups from Quebec City, Montreal, Vancouver, Victoria, Kitchener, Waterloo, Calgary, and for the first time ever, Sudbury. Woo! We are really honored to work alongside these companies, and I really can't wait for you to hear from them all today. So for those of you in the room, we distributed a double-sided lookbook for you to learn more about the cohort. And for those of you that are joining us online, feel free to scan this QR code where you can learn more. But now let's get into the presentation. Sound good? Okay. So really quickly, how this all works, each team will have precisely 4.5 minutes to present their startup, their progress in the program, and any call to actions that they have for all of you. And at the midway point, we'll welcome a few special guest speakers for a fireside chat where they'll discuss the new blueprint for North American startups. All right, so let's get started. First up, it's my great pleasure to introduce Justin from iCareX. iCareX is building the AI-powered future of eye care by automating eye exams to improve access and clinic efficiency. So Justin, please come on out.
My name is Justin Oscarpour. I'm the founder and CEO of iCareX. I'm an optometrist. I'm also the past Chief Vision Officer of Clearly. Now at iCareX, our focus is automating the eye exam journey. Our mission is expanding access to quality eye care by empowering optometrists to grow their practices through better technology. Now when I was practicing optometry actively, I saw a patient of mine go blind because our eye care system is too slow to allow me to intervene in time. What was once preventable vision loss became permanent. And this wasn't because of bad medicine. This is because of bad workflow. Now, the bottleneck in optometry isn't the number of exam lanes or equipment. The bottleneck is the doctor's capacity. The majority of optometrists in North America are burnt out, drowning in manual testing and administrative paperwork. 70% of a doctor's daily tasks are towards these menial activities. And because of this, 60% of optometry clinics are at capacity. They're unable to properly service their patient volume demand. Now at iCareX, we're fixing this. We're automating optometry workflows. For the first time, we're moving the front end of the eye exam outside of the eye clinic through patient-guided remote autonomous eye testing. We then analyze those results and surface structured clinical insights to doctors so they can make the best decisions as fast as possible for their patients while reducing cognitive load. In addition to these exam-related workflows, we also automate across scheduling, coordination, and other automated administrative tasks. What this means is 7 hours of doctor's bandwidth is reduced to 3 hours on a daily basis. So walking through the patient journey here, we can see the patient opens our application and starts our testing, the first of which is our case history protocol. We're just like a doctor, we're extracting medical, ocular, and family history information. We then go into objective and subjective clinical diagnostic testing, like color vision testing, visual acuity testing, and extraocular muscle motility testing. This represents about 30 to 40% of the testing a doctor does in office. Now looking at the doctor side of the platform, the doctor no longer opens an empty exam chart. They're opening a chart that's populated with the majority of the contents of the eye exam already filled in. That way they're spending seconds analyzing instead of minutes performing tests and charting. Now this automation continues where we have ambient scribe deployed, where doctors are present in their engagement with their patient instead of having their back turned to their patient's charting. We deploy automated referral letter drafting and patient education summaries. That way we're able to promote continuity of care. And we also automate the billing life cycle. That way doctors are able to capture as much revenue as possible per interaction. Now we've deployed our prototype across different practice modalities and we find the same success outcomes. 3 hours of time recovered and returned to doctors on a daily basis. And doctors are using this time and investing it into seeing more patients and doing a better job selling glasses, which is creating about a $15,000 a month incremental lift in revenue for the business, which is a strong 30-to-1 ROI for our customers. Now, we started commercializing our platform just about 2 months ago, and we've already onboarded 30 practitioners across the country. We have about 100% pilot to paid conversion and 0% churn. What's really exciting is a wait list forming of doctors because they're excited to pull us into their networks. And they're doing this because we're purpose-built AI built by optometrists, providing optometrists the highest level of automation across the entirety of the eye exam lifecycle. And this is because we're a team built by industry experts in optometry, software development, and operations that have scaled healthcare in the past. Now, we're raising $2 million. This is going to allow us to scale our beachhead market of Canada, growing ARR to $2.3 million, and also accessing the American ecosystem. Now, I hope everybody here scans this QR tag. I'd love for you all to experience the iCareX workflow firsthand, and I'd like to invite you all to get a free or a comped eye exam at our partnered clinics in the Greater Toronto area later on in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Amazing. Well done. Please scan the QR code, folks. Support Justin and the iCareX team. So well done, Justin. Way to kick us off. So up next, it's my pleasure to introduce Simone from Optionality. Optionality is the AI platform for exit planning and mergers and acquisitions created for entrepreneurs and the advisors who help them navigate the biggest deal of their life. So Simone, please come on out.
Hi, my name is Simon Leroux. I'm the founder and CEO of Optionality. I'd like to introduce you to Andre. Andre is a business owner. He's one of our clients. And for the past 40 years, Andre's been building his manufacturing company. His business is his legacy. And now he's thinking about selling it. But he doesn't know where to start. How much his business is worth? Is it even sellable? Who can buy him? He's not alone. In Canada, only in the next 5 years, there's going to be 300,000 business owners like Andre who will try to sell their company. In the US, we're talking about 3 million companies. That's trillions of dollars of value that will change hands. It's so big that people call it the silver tsunami. What we know about this? Well, we're a team of serial entrepreneurs with several successful exits under our belt, including an exit to KKR, but also exit to different management buyouts, as well as strategic partners. The hard truth is that 8 out of 10 businesses that try to sell will fail. That means that in Canada, in the next 5 years, 240,000 businesses like Andre will try to sell their company, and they will fail. It will not happen. That's millions of jobs. That's legacy that will disappear. And that's people like Andre that are leaving tons of money on the table. Why? Mostly because they're underprepared. They start too late. They don't know really how much their business is worth. They have no existing relationship with potential buyers. They have no plan. So that's what we're doing at Optionality. We're empowering every business owner to do 3 things. First thing is to know their company value in real time, anchored with real past transaction. You can monitor your value over time and be in control as an entrepreneur. The second thing is, what are your options to increase that value? Can you make an acquisition? Should you leverage debt to fuel your growth? How do you benchmark versus companies that are similar to yours? And last but not least, have a plan to exit when it's time for you to exit on your own terms. Our platform is anchored in proprietary data that matters to small and medium business owners like Andre. Not like stuff that you would find in CapIQ or PitchBook. Stuff for small and medium businesses, past transaction, potential buyers. And the best thing is that it gets better as with every interaction. We've streamlined basically weeks of work into minutes. That work used to be accessible only to the elite, large enterprises, investment banks. Now it's accessible to business owners like Andre. And we're going even further with Google. As part of the Accelerator, we're proud to announce that we've launched the very first value creation builder system for small and medium business owners like Andre. What does that mean? Our AI can run millions of scenarios for Andre in real time and tell him not only how much his business is worth right now, but what it could be worth in the future with the right moves. We're actually telling Andre, this is the thing that you can do to improve your enterprise value. And by the way, should you sell right now, in 6 months, or in 5 years? That's a game changer. Our goal is to provide every entrepreneur with a dedicated plan. So Andre can harvest the work that he's been putting into his business for the past 40 years. We launched to SMB business owners in February. We've already signed over 500 customers with a 900% revenue growth. We think that every entrepreneur should exit on their own terms. There's millions of entrepreneurs to help in North America. So we need your help to make it happen. We're looking at building partnerships. Partnerships with banks and advisors, because we have a referral program to support your SMB customers that are thinking about selling in the next 6 months or 6 years. By the way, no IT, no client data, no procurement. We can make this happen directly. Second partnership, organization and media. We have content. Business owners in this country, in North America, they need help. They need data, they need insights, they need education around exit planning. We have that. We'd love to partner with you guys on that. And last but not least, we're going to be raising our Series A's in 2027. We believe in building relationship with other VCs that are thinking about changing the way that M&A is happening for small and medium business owners like André. So if you know a business owner like André, share our valuation clarity tool online for free. They can start having clarity on their company value, and reach out to me, Simon, to continue the conversation after the event. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's great. Okay, how's everyone feeling? Good? Okay, great. We're going to keep this rolling. So up next is Madison from Banting AI. Banting AI is a co-pilot that turns clinical trial protocols into structured data to reduce time, cost, and operational burden at research sites. So over to Madison to share more. Come on up, Madison.
Thanks, Saran, and thanks to the entire Google team. Hi, I'm Madison. I'm the founder of Banting, and we're building the AI infrastructure for clinical research. Clinical trials are how science becomes medicine. They're how new discoveries reach the standard of care, and most importantly, for many patients, they represent the only viable clinical pathway. But running clinical research is incredibly resource intensive for hospitals. Before a trial can enroll a single patient, hospitals have to turn scientific protocols into operational reality. Today, that work is manual, fragmented, and hard to scale, which means fewer trials, longer activation timelines, and patients who are never given the option. At leading US oncology centers, just the administrative work to start a trial takes on average 167 days. And these centers are running 280 more trials at any given time. Across a portfolio, that math compounds very quickly and becomes an enormous operational burden. So what makes up that 167 days? It's ethics, budgeting, ICFs, informed consents. They're essential workflows. The common thread across all of these is that they are protocol-derived. Teams spend a huge amount of time translating a protocol across documents, workflows, teams, departments within an institution. And that's the problem that Banting was built to solve. Banting takes the protocol, the operational manual for a trial, and turns it into a structured data layer for a study. From that foundation, we help teams generate materials, check for quality and compliance, and automate downstream workflows. Every output stays connected and aligned with the source protocol, so every team is working from a shared foundation. Here's what that looks like in practice. Meet Sarah. She works at a leading oncology center, and her team is used to spending months pushing a singular trial through the startup process. A single ICF can take her weeks, if not months, to draft and get approval. Fast forward to today. With Banting, she uploads a protocol, and within minutes, she has all of her startup documentation checked against compliance frameworks. Everything's configured to her institution's SOPs and templates, and they're audit ready. Human judgment always stays in the workflow, but Banting gives experts a stronger starting point. One example I'll walk you through is the ethics workflow. Today, just preparing the documents for ethics review at an institution takes over 50 clinician and coordinator hours. Layering in the downstream review process, institutions are approaching $40,000 just for the ethics process for a single trial alone. Banting generates all the initial draft documents, checks for compliance before submission. This saves significant time and importantly drives down revision cycles. This same pattern shows up in budgeting and coverage analysis. Before a study can open, a hospital needs to know how much it will cost and who's going to pay for it. Today, hospitals manually go through 250-page protocols, extracting out procedure-level data, filing on their fee schedule, and then building it into a budget template. As a result, hospitals chronically undercharge for the work that they're already doing. Banting in minutes builds a first draft of budgets, surfaces reimbursable procedures, and maintains traceability back to the original protocol. In clinical research, trust is foundational and non-negotiable. Banting is built around human review, source traceability, and continuous evaluation. In our peer-reviewed work published in the Journal of Biomedical Informatics, Banting substantially outperformed out-of-the-box language models on protocol extraction tasks while reducing task completion times by 40%. Most importantly, clinical research coordinators preferred the AI-assisted workflow by 92%. So, how are we different? Today, clinical research software stores information after the operational work has been done, similar to a digital filing cabinet. Banting helps teams actually do the work while checking and enforcing quality and compliance. Clinical trials are where science becomes medicine, but that only happens when research sites have the capacity to open and manage studies effectively. We're partnering with academic medical centers and high-volume research sites that need better infrastructure for trial administration. If that is you or anyone you know, we would love to connect. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Madison. All right. Up next, I'm going to turn it over to Rex from MyHealthSpan. MyHealthSpan is an AI preventative health operating system for employers, combining 100+ tests with coaching to reduce risk and improve health span. So Rex, please come on up.
Hello. This month, the Victoria Police Department offered MyHealthSpan to their service members. 190 signed up. 98% found a health risk that they had never been tested for. One service member's blood work came back with a cardiovascular risk 6 times the danger threshold. She didn't know. She had never been tested for it. The average Canadian will spend 16 years of their life dealing with chronic disease they didn't want. 16 years. That's the gap between how long you live and how long you live healthy. My name's Rex Farrand. I'm CEO of MyHealthSpan, and we close that gap. Why have we accepted this as the norm? Our system reacts to disease, and nobody's focused on preventing it. Canadian employers spend $3,000 to $5,000 per employee per year on extended health benefits. Yet 60 to 80% of those go to claims that were preventable. Diabetes complications, cardiac events, late-stage cancer. My co-founder, Dr. Zia Punja, leads oncology and is a preventive medicine expert at BC Cancer. We started MyHealthSpan because he watched for 15 years patients walk in with conditions that were detectable 5 years earlier. We are the platform that employers are already buying for their employees that gives them healthy years back. And it works because half the answer is the AI. We collect Canada's most comprehensive health data set, conducting blood and genetic testing in the office or at home for remote workforces, integrate wearables, and connect existing medical records. Our AI fuses it with the world's clinical research to predict individualized health risk scores and rank what matters most. But the other half is the coach. AI can tell you what to do, but our longevity coaches can tell you what you can actually do given your life. A mom who's working the night shift can't change everything at once. So we meet people where they are, increasing behavior change and accountability. And every human conversation that we have uniquely makes our AI smarter about you. And that's why we've had 89% retention in a category that is losing people. The line of customers is growing, and for 2 reasons. First, it works. In a multi-draw cohort over 2 years, the average MyHealthSpan member improved by 3%. That's the equivalent to 4 to 7 months of additional healthy life. Our biggest mover improved by 14%, approximately 2 years of healthy life gained. We're partnering with the University of Victoria and Viona Health to clinically validate these results. And the second is that the market's moving. Victoria Police Department is one of 12 signed employers, and our pipeline is 5 times that. People Corporation, Canada's largest independent benefits administrator, is putting us in front of 2 million covered lives later this summer. Canada Life and Manulife are next. So why us? Well, we're not just a dashboard. We are doctor-founded and have built a closed-loop B2B platform that employers use to model downstream costs that they can avoid when that risk is caught early. Plus, we have 2 unique cross-border partnerships in the health space. Dynacare brings us 9 million blood draws a year across the nation, and their parent company, LabCorp, has given us the green light to expand into the United States later this year. Exact Sciences has chosen us to be their exclusive Canadian distributor outside of the US, and Abbott bought them for $25 billion this past quarter. So while competitors are building in D2C or focusing on virtual care, we are focusing on a completely different side of the market that we think is the key to making this a success. We are built by people who have done preventive health, who have scaled multi-clinics across Canada, and who have shipped products at the biggest tech companies in the world. And 10 weeks ago, Google chose us for this accelerator, not just because we make money, but because we make meaning. Canada's health problems are not slowing down, and we're going to change that. So we're raising $2.5 million. We're looking to hire 2 additional mission-driven engineers and an exceptional marketing leader. Take out your phone. I'll go first. Whether you are an investor, a potential partner, or you want to try out My Health Span at an exclusive demo day discount, scan this QR code and help us unlock more healthy years. Thank you.
Awesome. Did everyone get the QR code? I'll hold it up for 2 more seconds. Okay, good. I see some cameras out. All right, perfect. Okay, great. So, okay, up next, I'm going to turn it over to Anwar from the AllMind team. AllMind is the financial markets research terminal for institutional investors, providing financial-focused AI to the world's leading firms. Anwar, please join me on stage.
Hi, my name is Anwar Malik, and I'm the CEO of AllMind. We're a research platform for institutional investors that allows teams to scale their work without having to add more people onto their teams. I want you to meet Jung. You probably know him as the smart quant from The Big Short, but this is the dream of every investment firm. They want to hire 1,000 Jungs. The issue with that, however, is that the quality of that human capital is rare, it's expensive, and trying to hire 1,000 of them to scale your research process is not a feasible one. And so, what's the reality at most institutional investment firms? It's that you have highly capable teams of people like Jeff managing $65 billion for Deutsche Bank, and even then, it takes them over 3 weeks to research a single investment idea. Now, 3 weeks in financial research is a lifetime, and that cost adds up really quickly. Specifically for Jeff's fund, it impacts their portfolio by 200 basis points or $1.3 billion annually just for his fund. Now, the issue with this number is that it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the Jeff's portfolio grows. And so, teams have tried spending tens of billions of dollars to solve this. You have people like JPM wanting to work with Anthropic and spending $5 billion to build internal tools. You have firms adopting AI solutions at a rapid pace. And then you also have other firms who are just waiting on tools like AlphaSense, Bloomberg, and FactSet to implement AI. The issue is that teams have been doing this for over 5 years now. They've spent tens of billions of dollars, and nothing has come out of it. And the issue is that nothing will come out of it either. Because the problem is not the AI model, it's everything underneath. And how do we know this? Well, our team comprises of asset managers who've managed over $40 billion. We have quants. We have AI researchers doing it before it was even cool. And we also have executives who are part of that digital transformation at major firms like JPM, IMC, and all others. And so we built the only solution that can collapse the entire research stack into a single platform. We do this by combining high-quality external data with the internal firm data into a single solution that can then map out this through an ontology platform into a method that AI can then use this information to help build valuable outcomes. We also connect with over 6,000 different data sources, working with every major vendor across institutional finance. And the market has agreed with our approach. We signed our first institutional client 4 months ago, and since then, we've signed 30 more. We've gotten $720,000 of invoice revenue. Our annual recurring revenue is $2.2 million. We're growing month over month at a rapid rate, and our pipeline is over $4 million, including some of the largest Fortune 500s and even a Fortune 75. And it's not that our solution is being used only in a specific aspect of finance, it's being used all across the board. Whether you're in public equities, private equity, advisory, fixed income, no matter where institutional financial research is being done, Allmind can be applied, and it's most likely being applied right now. So rather than just explaining our solution, I actually want to walk you through an example. The use case of looking at SpaceX going public and wanting to analyze the Canadian space tech economy is normally something that would take a team 4 to 5 weeks. I'm going to show you how it gets done in under 30 seconds. First, with Allmind, you can see everything that's happening in the market, whether it's from the sell side, the earning calls, the filings, whatever it might be, you can have a single place where that information can exist. You can then pick top names like MDA and see its entire supply chain, see the competitors, see the suppliers, see who the major people impacting their business and their bottom line are. You can then run peer comparisons and analysis. And you can also get Allmind to build something actually for you. If we look at Jeff from Deutsche Bank, he can get a fully made 54-slide deck about MDA space made for him that he can then present in his next investment meeting. This way, rather than waiting 5 weeks to act on MDA, he can do it the day of the event. So we're also raising $6 million for our seed round because we're lighting oil on this fire. We're growing rapidly, and we want to be able to do this even quicker by scaling our enterprise reach and doing forward deployments. Finally, we want to show you our Chief Happiness Officer, and also thank Google for giving this opportunity to us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Anwar. So up next is Demilar from CropMind, based out of Calgary, Alberta. CropMind builds AI-powered crop intelligence that turns simple field imagery into accurate yield, disease and decision insights for fruit growers. So to share more, I'm going to welcome Demilar to the stage. Please come on up.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? I'm sure of hands if we wish money grew on trees. I do as well. For grape and apple producers, this isn't an imagination. Their crop is their capital. Their fruit is their profit. In the next few minutes, I'll be showing you how at CropMind we help them improve that return. I'm Damilare Odumosu. The challenges growers face isn't abstract. I grew up on the farm. I experienced it firsthand. Every growing season, growers would have to battle unavailable workforce because Gen Zs and younger people like myself aren't going to farms. We also have immigration crisis. There's no available labor. And on top of that, there's a lot of weather events. From frost event to extreme weather heat, that leads to disease formation on farms. It's a lot to grow on Canadian farms. Enough of that. The first picture you see is of a grower who would walk every row with their eyes, estimating produce and checking for anomalies. The next picture you see is the solution we are providing. With just a mobile phone, a grower can then take an image of that specific tree and get insight. Isn't that awesome? By being part of the Google Accelerator, we've even built on that. The next image you see is that growers can now ask questions about their own farms with a chatbot of their own data. How does this work? I know that's your next question. What we do is that we integrate into existing solutions on the farm, such as a tractor or a four-wheeler, and then we ask the grower to use their mobile phones or existing GoPro cameras, attach that, drive through instead of their feet, and then the magic happens.
Welcome. Let's dive right into turning raw vineyard footage into actual, actionable digital insights. Imagine hitting 97% yield prediction accuracy without installing any complicated new hardware. Or spending 75% less time manually counting and scouting your fields. Here's the simple 4-step CropMind workflow to make those crazy results a reality. Step 1. Field capture. It all starts right in the vineyard using gear you already own. Just mount a phone or GoPro to your tractor and record the canopy as you drive. Super easy. Step 2. Digital mapping. Head back to your desk and open up the CropMind platform. It maps your vineyard blocks and automatically tracks the exact rows you just recorded. Upload your video file and the system automatically gets to work processing that footage. Step 3. AI Insights. Now for the really exciting part, where the AI kicks in. It immediately places precise bounding boxes around specific grape clusters and the overall canopy. You get incredibly granular details, breaking down trunks, cordons, canes, and even individual buds.
Has real impact on the field. In the Okanagan, we have growers saving over 75% in what took 1 hour or more takes lesser. And we have over 93 to 97% accuracy, and growers are saving over $10,000 by making much more precise calls. It's live, it's active. What you see here are the growers giving us feedback for 2 seasons now across Okanagan. And recently we signed a pilot agreement with a 275-acre vineyard in California. This is the awesome team making this possible. We have a team of PhD across different expertise. And also we have our go-to-market strategy expert as well in Margaret and Emmett Murphy. Just one video, several streams of revenue for growers and also for the business. And this ensures that insurance and all the ecosystem can make use of that data. We are presently raising and looking for partnerships, or if you want to start your own winery and need consultation, please kindly reach out. Our use of funds would be to continue the self-serving, where growers can easily use their mobile phones and then onboard on the platform. Ladies and gentlemen, farming is not a gamble, but a system powered by clarity, precision, and confidence. We at CropMind believe that you can continually have better farming, sustainable across different generations. As a third-generation grower, you're looking to support farming or you want to start farming, please kindly scan the QR code and we can connect after. Thank you.
Amazing. I love the Notebook LM video. That was fantastic. All right, so we've already reached the midway point. We do have one more presentation from Innovate Ops. Dennis, the founder of Innovate Ops, was unable to join us today, but he has passed along a recording of his presentation, so we'll roll that for you now.
Hi, I'm Dennis, founder and CEO of InnovateOps. We make manufacturing equipment think for itself. That means machines can sense, understand, and trigger actions before failure happens. Here's why this matters. Manufacturers lose over 1.4 trillion every year to unplanned downtime. For many companies, equipment failures can represent around 10% of annual revenue. And yet, most facilities still monitor only a small fraction of their equipment in real time. The machines are already generating signals like heat, vibration, electrical load, operating patterns. The problem is that most manufacturers don't have a simple way to collect those signals, understand them, and turn them into action. That is the gap we are solving. IT Octopus is one stack, from sensor to autonomous action. Our device clamps onto equipment like motors, pumps, gearboxes, conveyor lines. It installs in minutes with no PLC integration required. From there, data flows into dashboards and Google Cloud. Then our AI agents turn machine data into practical actions, root cause analysis, maintenance schedule and parts recommendations, work orders, team alerts, and audit trails. Today, understanding equipment reliability can take weeks with engineers, technicians, failure mode analysis, monitoring, and maintenance planning all working separately. We compress that workflow into one AI-powered platform. When IT Octopus is installed, the technician takes a picture of the equipment nameplate. From that moment, our system starts building a digital understanding of the machine. It identifies the equipment, reads the specifications, and uses AI as a physics brain to model how that machine should behave. We then generate synthetic operating data, train machine learning models, and combine them with live telemetry from IT Octopus. That allows us to monitor from day one, detect early signs of failure, and turn machine data into real maintenance actions. We built this on Google Cloud because industrial telemetry needs to scale. Google's tools help us to move from prototype thinking to production architecture. Gemini, Vertex AI, BigQuery, and Cloud Run allow us to process real machine data, run AI agents, and scale the same architecture from 3 motors today to 100,000 machines tomorrow. Google for Startups Accelerator helped us compress our build timeline by roughly 6 months. We now have 3 pilots advancing across 3 different industries. At Purolator, we are starting with 1 facility with potential to scale across their 100+ facilities network. At Magna, we are starting with a focused deployment with a path to expand across global footprint of 400+ facilities. And with Blatchford, we are starting in Canada, but the opportunity bridges into their US operations. We didn't read about this problem, we lived it. I spent 20 years running manufacturing operations as an engineer, plant manager, director of operations, and founder. I know what it feels like when equipment fails and production stops. Leo brings deep manufacturing and customer-facing experience, Julian brings embedded systems and IT hardware expertise, and we are supported by a strong startup ecosystem. We are opening our seed round this fall. We have 3 pilots advancing and an AI native maintenance platform ready to move from pilots into repeatable commercial rollouts. This is not a theoretical AI product. This is an operator-built solution for a real industrial pain. If you're an investor, enterprise leader, or partner who wants to help bring intelligence to the physical fault of manufacturing, I would be happy to talk after this. Thank you.
All right. Well, a big thanks to the 7 startups we've heard from so far. Let's give it up to them. Okay, so now we are going to shift into our fireside chat discussion. Just before we do that, our team is going to quickly reset the space, so just give us 30 seconds and we'll be right back. Okay, fantastic. All right, so now that our space is set up, we are going to switch gears and dive into a discussion where we'll be talking about the new blueprint for North American startups. To moderate this discussion is my colleague Allison Drader, Country Sales Manager for Canada Startups for Google Cloud. So now I will welcome Allison, Ileana, and Craig to the stage to have the conversation. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good. My name is Allison Drader. I'm so elated to have you here. I see some familiar faces in the audience. We love the Startups, a part of this Accelerator program, and I'm just so thrilled that you guys get to see the demos in the audience here today. So, with that, we're about to dive into the new blueprint for North American startups. And when we're thinking about this, we're thinking about the changes that are happening for startups in this moment. We all know agentic is here. We know everyone's using agents. Everyone's looking at AI. So the challenge for startups today is just a little bit different. Now, let me just get this going over here. So today I have here two of my absolute favorite executives. Ileana, who is the North American Customer Engineering Leader, the director for our customer engineering team in North Am for startups. And we have Craig as well, who is the Director of Customer Engineering for Canada, who gets exposure to some of the largest businesses in Canada today. So two amazing people in our audience that could help through this, facilitate this discussion today. So with that, what I would like to do is just start off with the two of you. Can you give me, you got 30 seconds, tell me a little bit more about yourselves. We'll start with Ileana and then we'll go to Craig. Tell me a little bit more about your role here at Google Cloud.
Absolutely. Thank you, Allison. And first of all, good afternoon. And I have to say congratulations to all of you because being a startup founder is not easy, guys. So congratulations, kudos to all of you, and thank you for your pitches. And we're going to get to hear more of those companies later today. So as Allison said, so my role is pretty exciting, and I'm really, really grateful because I get to work with a lot of the startups across North America, so the US and Canada. I have an amazing leader here in Canada with Cindy, who a lot of you probably know, Cindy and our team here. They actually are here in the trenches with you, helping you adopt our technology, answer questions for you. If you get stuck with something also, it's a team that you can call like all the time. We're here for you. We are here to unblock you. We're here to provide additional information on Google and how we can help you. But more importantly, also, we're here to learn what you need and how we can make your lives easier. So thank you for having me here today.
Thanks for being here. Craig.
Yeah, thank you for having me here as well. So Craig Oliva, I lead our customer engineering organization for Canada, focused on all the large enterprises and public sector. I've been with Google for about 14 years. So I've worked with all the startups as well, and then ended up taking on the business for all the enterprise business. I'll say, like, for me, this is when I get to come here and hear all of you speak and talk. This is some of the most fun, exciting stuff for me on my day-to-day because I'm often mired in, you know, what challenges are the banks having adopting technology, all the issues they have. So I kind of have a sense of, you know, the pace at which you all move, number one, just is really exciting to me, and the ways you think is really exciting. And then I have a view into, as you continue to grow your business, what is it that at the end of the day, the big guys, the big companies in Canada are looking for? And it's helpful for me to like have these conversations after and share some of that with you as well. So I love being here. This is really cool, and looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here, Craig. We're really excited to have you both here. So we're going to start off with a fun one. And Ileana, this will be a good one to hear your insights on how we go about this. This week is all about celebrating the exceptional talent and innovation here within Canada and in Toronto specifically. We've seen a massive reverse brain drain where talent is actually staying in Toronto more often than what we used to see, where talent was moving to the States and down in the Bay Area. With remote work and global compensation structures, how does a deep tech startup compete for the world's 1% of AI researchers? Ileana.
Wow. Okay, that's a very good question, actually. First of all, I have to say, by the way, that I'm located in San Francisco, so I get to see a lot of the startups there in Silicon Valley. And I have to say, guys, so this ecosystem, it's as good as it is there. So there are access to opportunities and money in all places, but the access to the talent, it's amazing here. So I want to call that out. I think one of the key differentiators in this market is the AI research labs that you have, the talent from universities, and also I have to call it the immigration pathways that you have, really to bring even more brains from other places here as well. And for the people that are here, also there's the additional benefits, right? Of course, Canada is an amazing place to live, but also to work. And there's also a lot of support from your government ecosystem. So those are critical differentiators that we don't actually have in other hubs in North America. So that is super, super important. But going to your question, Allison, so I think 2 years ago, it was relatively easy to say that if you were in a startup and you were developing like a foundational model and all of that, and you were investing all your resources and you had the best researchers in the world, you were going to be able to have a differentiation in the market. Right now, I think, fast forward 2 years, I don't think we can say the same thing. So one of the things that we're seeing really is that it's not enough anymore to really build foundational models, especially if at some point your foundational model capability can be replaced by something that comes up on open source or one of the big models will actually be already providing. So I think that's not enough anymore. So what you need to start looking at, or when people start pivoting that we are seeing, is really this deep technical vertical expertise. So that's one area that I would encourage you all to think about. So when you think about your products, your services, anything that you're building, think about what is your domain knowledge that nobody else will be able to replicate, okay? And that may not be a model, that may be an application layer stack, that may be a vertical industry that you want to focus on. And then if you do that, then what are those workflows that you need to integrate into for the customers that you are targeting? So that's the second big thing. It's like you can build a great product on the technical side, but if it's so hard to then implement by your customers, then it's not good. So that you're going to get into trouble. So that's the second thing. And the third thing I would call out is really your execution agility. So think about it. The startups, we move really fast, right? But it's even more important to know that with AI and the pace that we're seeing in the market, that your agility, your ability to execute and pivot or be agile to meet your customers' demands is going to be critical. And that should be also one of your differentiators too. So I would say those three things: deep vertical expertise, your workflow integrations, the agentic development, in other words, and your ability to execute really quickly.
I think those are really good tips. Craig, kind of on the point of deep technical talent, I'm curious what your thoughts are on kind of
attracting
talent and keeping them there. I mean, I know you hire all the time.
Yeah,
and when
so
you're thinking
I'm
of
going to
hiring
give you
those
a slightly different. So everything Elena just said plus one. I'll give you a slightly different perspective, because I think the root of the question is how do you get the top AI researchers to work here and work with all of you and keep them here, right? And so interesting, like one of the privileges I have here is for this office, I'm actually the site lead for the office. And part of that involves how do we get Canada on the map more when it comes to like Google. And one of the things I wanted to do was actually do some really cool AI projects that come out of Canada. Like there's great researchers here, this DeepMind sits in this building. How do we get more investment from Google to put more AI research into Toronto from a Google standpoint? And part of that is you want to get researchers from U of T and all these places. And it turns out that when you talk to, at least in my experience, when you talk to a lot of these researchers and you try and get them to come on board, it's not enough to just, in fact, it's not really the money that you offer them that actually brings them in. A lot of the researchers, especially people who are in deep research, what they actually care about is, I want to solve an interesting problem that hasn't been solved, and the research has to be interesting to me. And I need the autonomy to do it and the ability to move quick. Right, and so sometimes, like some of the bigger organizations that you might compete with, don't have the ability to move fast, right? They have a lot of paperwork. Some of the projects they're working on are like small optimizations, things like this that aren't that like world-breaking or exciting. So a lot of the AI researchers, if you give them something really interesting that hasn't been solved for before and sell them on that idea, but then at the same time give them the autonomy and the pace that they'll obviously have within a startup, I think you secure a lot of those folks. Right? And that would just be my sort of experience here. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Please do.
Because I love what you said about lead researchers, right? When you look at worldwide research, the marketplace for that, or the talent marketplace for that, deep research leading candidates really care about two things, right? They care about impact and they also care about peer recognition, right?
Papers.
So if you somehow can actually provide those two paths for them to accomplish that, I think you will be able to attract that top talent, right? Even if you're competing with other big hubs around the world. So those two things are super important. And just maybe just out of curiosity, since of course Craig and Allison live here in Canada, I may not know the market that well, so very curious about it. So from all the startups here today, so do you have any kind of AI residency programs for your researchers? No? Show of hands? No? And I can see, of course, because it's all the
Sounds like you need to talk to our government.
Yeah, so, and that I just wanted to bring it up because when we're thinking about talent, right, and you think about some of the VC firms, right, some of the PE firms even, they have resident experts, right? So think about AI resident expert. So where you can actually give all the things that Craig mentioned, giving them the opportunity to keep publishing, keep working with academia, while they are also working with your startup. And I know sometimes that's not so good because we're like, no, I want them to work for me for the startup and 100% of the time. But when that's not enough for them, maybe thinking about joint models or share models on how you can actually become an AI resident expert or an AI co-founder, AI resident co-founder, it's another avenue that you could probably explore too.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, Craig, this one's for you. Our audience here is with builders and VCs. What is the North Star for a Canadian tech founder in 2026?
Okay, I'm going to take a slightly, let me think through this, like a slightly maybe patriotic approach to this for a second. But so again, I think we're at an interesting time, right, as a country, and I think we're being challenged in a lot of ways. As someone who works with a lot of the large organizations in Canada, one of the things that often is exciting is that a lot of large organizations haven't yet adopted a lot of the AI technologies at the pace we need to be competitive globally, right? So they're all looking at it, they're all playing with it, but they are not moving at the pace, on average that our neighbors to the south do. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But obviously, we have a problem where we're not as productive as other countries. We need to catch up in many ways. We need to take leaps and bounds if we want to secure our economic future. And so I think when I look at the tech founders in the room, everyone in here has an opportunity now, I think, to use that technology that's available to you to operate at a scale that doesn't reflect the size of your company, right? So for example, the capabilities that are out there allow you to, if you're a 100-person company, they allow you to operate like a 10,000-person company and allow you to compete now at a level that the top 5 banks compete in or the retailers here and the others, right? So as a tech founder, I'm like, how do I build the next Shopify, right? And show up on a global scale the way they have. I think the capabilities here and the talents here, and I think honestly, the bigger competition here isn't necessarily moving as quick as we'd like them to. I think all of you can, or you do, and you have an opportunity to unseat some players there and do some really disruptive things and put us on the map. That to me is what I think the opportunity is.
That's awesome. The name of the game, I think, is speed, and it's also getting it right and being able to iterate and change and adjust. Ileana, this one's for you. The blueprint for startups has changed like every 6 months. I mean, we change our own blueprint consistently as well, Ileana. You've seen founders pivot successfully and also founders who maybe have taken a little bit too much time. In this fast-moving deep tech era, what is the signal that a founder needs to pivot their technical moat before the market passes by them?
That's a great question because I think for those of you founders here that are not first-time founders, right, you probably have seen this when you have had to pivot before and things work and sometimes they don't work and all of that. And when you think about what caused you to get to that pivot or when did you see that, I think a couple of things happen. One is when you are so deep into your product and so deep into your idea that you love it, right? You just naturally fall in love with it. It's your baby, and you want your baby to be successful and all of that. Sometimes, though, that extreme focus and concentration basically doesn't allow you to see what's going on outside. So I think that's something that we should all be always aware of, because when what's happening in the market, it's already threatening you and your product and what your mode is, and you don't get a glimpse of that early on, that's when you get in trouble. So I would say always be in the lookout for what is there that would make your product not defensible anymore. So that's a super important thing. I guess the other thing is, you are not working in silos, right? So you're working with teams. And having the diverse perspectives of the teams can also get you that additional insight to not have the blind spots that we all have. We all have blind spots, right? So as a team, and it could be a small team, to Craig's point, like in this day and age, you can have a very small team and accomplish fantastic things. But really having that communication and that innovation going and innovation flow going between the people in your team and making sure that the blind spots, that you can spot them early on, early and often. That's a critical thing as well, too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And just for those in the audience, like we work with startups from 1 to 2 employees all the way up to later stage startups that have been in the business since 2020. So we really think about the full cycle when we operate and support startups in the market. So we certainly have experience with those of every different age and background and where you're at in your journey.
So we still haven't seen, though, the solopreneur unicorn. So I'm still waiting for that one. So maybe it's in the room here, right?
I think the next unicorn is in this room, absolutely. Awesome. So Craig, what guidance would you give to a startup who wants to land a big enterprise? You've got experience with the banks. You've got experience with these large enterprises. Yeah. Like when we're thinking about supporting this audience here, how do you sell to those organizations?
So I think, so if we talk about, like, again, if you're saying like the big banks, for example, right?
Big five.
Big five, sure. So the thing about working with them, even as a large company like Google, is it doesn't matter how good your technology is, honestly, or your product. Mm-hmm. You can have the greatest tech on the planet, and it could solve every problem they ever have. Mm-hmm. But if you can't speak their language when it comes to governance and security and all these other things, it doesn't matter. And I can tell you, even as someone at Google who we've brought products to market that actually do have very strong governance, do have really strong security, but if we don't lead with it or even talk about it, that we will not win there, right? And so I would say, number one, as you think through as you think about how you're going to break into those different businesses, you need to understand it's not the fun, exciting stuff. Like, nobody wants to sit around and talk about governance, and someone in this room does. I'm very curious who that is, but nobody really wants to sit around and have that conversation or to like critically look at their product and the service and say, how do I ensure security, sovereignty, controls, visibility, observability, all these sorts of things, reporting, auditability, all that sort of stuff, I promise you, is thing one when it starts coming down to talking to at least the banks. And so I'd say, as you start maturing and you start thinking about, breaking into like the banks or in healthcare or in the government or things like this, your story around that has to be super, super tight. And you need to be thinking about how you call it out and almost lead with it in some ways. Mm-hmm. That would be my suggestion there.
Great suggestion. Someone once told me that the banks consider themselves a tech company that just has a wrapper of financial on the front. I think that's kind of true in many ways, or at least that's how they like to think of themselves too. Yeah. Ileana, this one's for you. What's one cultural trait from a technical team perspective that predicts a startup will be successful within Toronto or North America?
You know what I love about this question is you say, what's a cultural trait? We're technical people and engineering founders. So, okay, so I'm probably going to use Craig's words, and I'm going to pivot a little in the way that I answered this one. Sure. But I would say 2 cultural traits for me that I have seen in the past 6 months probably. One is more related to go-to-market strategies, and that's related to this thing that they are calling commercial empathy. So as a technical team, we're very focused on engineering and product and service and all of that, right? But there's such a thing as being in tune with what the commercial model is that you're going to have your product deal with, right? And when you have your ICPs and your customers and your go-to-market strategy, if you're not in tune with that commercial modeling, it's going to be really hard for you, even if you have the best product out there, okay? So I would say culturally, commercial empathy, super important. But the other thing I would say is, and by the way, commercial empathy with your go-to-market teams, with your product teams, with your sellers, your business development people, if you're early on, right? The second thing, though, it would be, everybody has heard about emotional intelligence, right? Of course. I would say, right now, we're going to have to push that, guys. It's not about emotional intelligence only. anymore. It's about CQ. For those of you who may have heard the term, it's cultural intelligence. And cultural intelligence, not in the sense of like different countries, and of course I'm in Canada, and I come from San Francisco, but I'm not talking about that kind of cultural intelligence. I'm talking about the fact that each team, whether it's within your own startup or with the customers that you're trying to bring on board, each of those groups has their own culture. And you need to be very aware of how you can interact with those other cultures, those other teams, so that you could find like the common threads, the synergies. It's easier to build a collaboration. It's easier to find the value that you can provide to them. So I would say when we think about cultural stuff, personality traits, those two things have become really very, very important, especially in the last 6 months.
Can I just add something to that too? So
Please.
again, 100% plus one. I think when I think of just like the people I love working with the most in a team, and when I hire, and I've been hiring a lot lately, there's a thing that's hard to assess, but I think is really important, which is to me like curiosity and desire to learn is to me and ability to learn quick, because right now things change so quickly. I would want to make sure like you have people in your teams that you brought in that on their own spare time, you're just naturally curious about learning new technologies. And I almost always will ask somebody in an interview, it's not in the Google interview handbook, so this is Craig's own like additional, but it's very much like, just tell me about like something, what's the last new technology you learned? What was it? Why did you learn it? What was it? Tell me about it. What did that look like? Right? And just teach it to me for a moment. I just want to see how well they picked up, A, is it something recent? And B, how do you explain it to someone else when you're trying to talk about it? Because it tells me that you spent time learning about it and you can teach it to someone else in a simple to understand way. You fill your team with a bunch of people who will go off and learn new things and can learn new things quickly, you're going to do great.
I love that idea. I'm going to steal that for my next interview.
And curiosity, you can extend it, right, to your customers too. So, which is great.
100%, yeah.
When I think of hiring on my team, I think of not building soldiers, but building the Avengers. And I think, like, does this person add a completely new skill set that my team needs to learn from? I interviewed at the time, like a director of sales of Yellow Pages, and she had a skill set that, you know, of deep, deep leadership experience, and I was a little intimidated, I'll be honest. And I was like, I'm going to learn from this person, and my team is going to learn from them, and I'm so excited. And she wanted to work, you know, in sales and just hit the ground running and go. And she's an Avenger on the team, and so I that's how I think about building my team out. Okay, last question for both of you. Give me a hot take on this one. What's one technical truth that most people are still ignoring? You can noodle on this one for a bit.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, please, Craig.
Not everything can be solved with AI.
Yeah. Tell me more.
I think there's and when I say AI, I mean like especially, so again, we talked to a lot of organizations and everything is like, we need an LLM here, we need generative AI, but sometimes just like a simple predictive, like traditional model is going to work just fine. You don't need to go through this whole process of doing, and again, that comes from a company that is like I obviously want more people to use Gemini, and I want that in the market. But I think there's this there is a sense that in some executive levels that like we can just solve every problem with AI, and sometimes it's actually easier than that. You don't need to do that, right? So yeah, I think it's about using AI with purpose and finding out where the real impact is and where there's a real problem that could be unblocked using technologies that are new that you haven't thought of. But it's not like a solve for everything, right? And
or a buzzword.
Or a buzzword. Yeah. Like I think the risk is by thinking it solves everything, it will get itself put into the buzzword category. It will get itself put into like, oh yeah, of course, AI, sure, right? You need to be selective about where it should be applied.
I love that.
Yeah.
Ileana.
I'd say +1 to that one. I mean, technology doesn't solve all our problems, for sure. And there's such a thing called human in the loop, right? Even in the agentic world. So there's a reason for that. And I think just taking it on the technical side, I think we were having a conversation with the founders of LangChain and ChainGuard the other day, and we were all thinking about this very question, like, what is it, like a technical truth or something that people are still ignoring today that they should not ignore? And you can imagine from the likes of those companies. And that was like the one thing they all agreed on was security. It's like a technical truth. It's like everybody thinks that we can push it. It's going to come up later. We can think about it later. Right now, we need to focus on the problem at hand and what we need to solve for. But the reality is we can't do that anymore. We can't just wait and think about security as an afterthought. It has to become front and center, or at least earlier in the cycle in the process of thinking and designing your products. So that's something that I think has also changed, and the reality of that has changed as well. So the timing is now. So don't push it. Don't just wait for that to happen, because then things are going to happen to you instead of you making things happen for you.
And I think even to just, that's a huge one, a big plus one. I think it's also to just build on that. I think people should just expect that you're going to be targeted. For sure, and B, something will probably happen, right? And so how do you set yourself up, knowing and expecting that to happen, that you have a process in place within your product, your service, your organization, whatever it is, that can act very quickly when that happens and remediate very quickly. And I think we're fortunate in that there's technologies now, AI and others, that can solve that. Obviously, there's also AI and others that are causing the problem, that can cause the problem, right? But I think you can absolutely set yourself up to protect yourself well and respond very, very quickly, as long as you do it with purpose and to your point, think about it early, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's so fantastic. I think we have time for a couple questions from the audience. If anybody had any questions for these wonderful panel members, please.
What's the most interesting use case that you've seen for AI? Like, what's another kind of
good question.
Niche or something like that?
The question was, what's the most interesting thing you've seen from AI?
Can I give a very recent one? It's just on the top of my mind. Okay, it's just the top of my mind, but I thought it was interesting. So, so Google sponsors McLaren, like as an F1. I don't know if folks are F1 fans in here, but that's one of them. And there was a conversation at Montreal over the weekend with their director of trackside operations, and someone asked, "How do you use AI for McLaren?" And he's like, "Well, okay, here's an interesting use case." He's like, "Well, the drivers, there's all these open radios on the racetrack between the drivers and the different engineering teams, and anyone can listen to what they're saying. And so when you're listening, other teams are trying to pick up, like, is everything okay in the other team's cars, and do they have any issues? And no one's going to just say, oh yeah, the engine's not working, or like, they're not going to say anything. So what they start doing is using AI to just start tracking keywords from different teams and the tone of their voice to start predicting when someone has an issue, and can now predict, okay, actually they sound like they're fine, but actually the AI and the model is saying they have an issue, and we can probably take advantage of that issue right now. Now I can propagate, which is interesting. I can propagate that out, of course, to beyond just that use case. You could look at it as if you're running a call center or something, and you understand how are the people calling into the call center. You could detect very quickly: are they upset? Are they angry? Are they not? How is the customer service agent talking to them? Like the same idea and concept can apply there. Obviously, in the F1, they're trying to understand underlying things going on. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, that was a super interesting use case. Yeah.
Have you seen anything cool?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that are super cool across the broad spectrum. But similar to Craig, something relatively recent, about 2-3 weeks ago, I was in LA, and we were hosting a group of founders that are in the gen media space in LA. So if you're familiar with LA, Hollywood, and all of that, which is called the industry. And we had a bunch of executive producers, actually. A lot of people that are writers of shows are becoming founders, which is like amazing to me, right? To think of that. So I spent this time talking to a couple of them, and there were very interesting conversations about use cases around film production and editing and all of that, where the idea is really today that with models, with video and things like those, you can actually remove that friction, and anybody can become a producer and an editor and all of that. And this is said by the producers and editors. So at some point, I had to ask them. I said, so you're basically saying that you're out of a job tomorrow? And they were like, no, what we're doing is pivoting, because really what's important is not the fact that we have the tooling. We can provide the tooling for our customers to do all these editing of films and all of that, but what we cannot provide necessarily is the life and lived experiences of the people creating the stories. So that's where they saw the industry going. It's about now the lived experiences of the creators of those stories, that now they need tooling to actually put that into a film, into a short story or a feature film. So that's where they see the industry going. And to me, it was an eye-opener, because I thought, oh my gosh, these people must be really panicking that they are not going to have jobs tomorrow. And they were all so like calm, cool, collected, and they were like, no, we're doing this because really the value is in the personal stories that we're going to create now content and make it easier for people to put that into films.
Very cool.
Any other questions in the audience? Please, Anwar.
Similar to how
Just in case.
Similar to how like the perspective in engineering changed from a few years ago, where people want to use AI very little inside their work, and then now we've kind of transitioned to where Claude can do like 90% of like the code reviews and all of that. Do you think a similar thing can happen within really regulated industries like, surgery or finance or banking, where like you have vibe surgery or like vibe banking, for example?
Vibe surgery. I give a couple. Coding.
2-minute example.
Sorry.
2-minute example.
2-minute example. Look, I think that stuff can happen. I think it's the degree of automation that will happen that necessitates some human or something involved, right? So obviously, the more life impacting, I'll say, sort of application or use case. If we're talking about coding and things like that, core technologies, I think, yes, vibe code is code, right? So there's that. I think the level of security that needs to be involved in part of that to review it, I think would have a human element to it and probably a lot more scrutiny in there. I think in terms of use cases, I'm already seeing some, I know you used vibe coding example, but I'll give you other similar examples that, let's go into finance, for example. So there are some banks that are starting to look at how do you automate, when we roll out software, there's like 11 documents that something needs to be checked against to make sure it passes all of these controls. That process takes like 18 months, shockingly, to review some product or service or new architecture before it goes live. 18 months. And if you look at it, it's just people reading documents and like checking that everything that you've deployed, your code, everything is mapped against that. So I know one of the banks for sure is starting to say, okay, that's, I don't know how many steps are, let's say there's 10 steps that take all this time. They can now automate so that 90% of that is done within like, I don't know, a couple hours. And then the rest of it is now a human to review the last 10% deviation of where it's off, right? So now think about what that means for a bank, right? They can deploy things quicker, get new services to their customers. And I think they're also doing things in the process of, I've also seen other things saying, well, if we want to, let's say we want to automate mortgage approvals for people, right? People, sometimes it takes a while to get that stuff done. You also don't want an AI system or agent to just approve any mortgage over, like, they wouldn't want to say, oh yeah, just approve anything over $1 million, no problem, right? So they've actually create agents that challenge other agents that say, hey, wait, why are you asking for a mortgage over $500,000? And then the other agent has to answer to that one and come back. And so you can create these like little challenger loops as well in the process to protect some of the core systems, or industries, like you'd say. I don't know, Liliana, if you have anything else you add to that, but. Yeah.
No, actually, what you made me think, it's about these new market categories of companies that are coming in terms of the governance, the agentic orchestration, and the security and the agent identification, right? All those things are new. So to your question about, like, can these industries be replaced or accelerated? I think to a certain degree, parts of those industries will. I mean, for sure. I don't think a totality of it will be. And I think the other thing to keep in mind is that even when you think about code automation, right, even for companies like Google, code automation, yes, actually we use a lot of tooling like that, but the market is changing, and we just saw in the news, right, some of the consolidation that's happening. But still, even when we use those tools, right, the end result, and we were seeing the statistics a while ago, basically say, yeah, you can automate and the productivity increases and you get more throughput with the code that you have. But at the same time, the rate of errors that then have to be reviewed from that, it's like 5 or 6 times like bigger than what you had before. So that's, again, something to consider, because yes, we're getting a lot of gains in productivity, and but then the quality may or may not be there depending on the areas that you're using the technology for. So that's something that it's still early on, I would say. So we're going to have to see what happens, but the impact is there, and no question that it will change, and it will start getting into more of the automation of things that are easy now to replicate, or that are too kind of like lower level tasks in general in any industry, even if it's regulated too?
Thank you so much. Great questions, guys. I wanted to thank you both for taking the time to share such wonderful insights with this audience. And I'll just take some time to thank you all for being here. I know that in Toronto Tech Week, there are 600 events going on during this week, and you all chose to spend your time here today and with this group. And that means a lot to us here at Google. So thank you all on behalf of us for just being in this room, in this audience, and for sharing all the wonderful insights and demos with us today. Winning on a global stage right now means moving past AI and really thinking about how we use it in the future, being secure, thinking about layers of governance. I truly hope you've learned something today from these wonderful folks in the room. And thank you all again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll pass it to Aram. Now.
Thank you. They're going to reset the space. For me. All right, well, that was an amazing conversation. We're going to quickly reset the space and we'll continue with the presentation. So please stay tuned, take your seats. We'll be right back. Okay. We're going to keep rolling with the presentations. Please take your seats. What did we think of that conversation? Good, right? I loved the last minute live Q&A. We weren't planning for that, but that was some great questions. So a big thanks again to Allison, Ileana, and Craig for the great conversation. So let's keep this party going. Next up, we're going to hear from Matt and Brendan from PlaySpace. PlaySpace is a digital therapy platform providing clinicians with interactive tools, games, and content to deliver engaging pediatric care. So Brendan and Matt, please come on out.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Cohen.
And I'm Brendan Herjavec.
I'm the founder and CEO of PlaySpace. So, PlaySpace was founded because 25 years ago, I started therapy as a young kid. I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, and I'm neurodivergent. My mom always makes a joke, there's no psychologist test that I have not passed. But I say that because I don't fit a mold and struggled a lot as a kid. And in COVID, I was very fortunate to be able to continue my relationship with my provider who said, you know, now We do Zoom, you sit on your couch, and it's totally fine. But you forget all these years ago, you came into my office, you crossed your arms, you would not speak to me, and it was board games, it was art. It was things like that that allowed us to build the rapport that ultimately created the therapeutic alliance that is the earliest and leading indicator of therapeutic success with kids. She said, is there anything out there? And before all this AI stuff, it was a collection of niches and we were given all the reasons not to. And so that's why someone had to do it, and we did.
What's scary to think is Matt had access to care. He was in Toronto, the big city where we're all today, but that's not equitable. You should be able to live in northern Idaho and still get access to care. The average wait time for getting a child into therapy is 2.5 years in Ontario, where we all are today. It's a humanitarian crisis. The problem is you can't shrink down adult telehealth and give it to an 8-year-old. The way they speak, communicate is different. Play is their language. PlaySpace is the solution. It's an ecosystem with a suite of provider and patient tools and a simple SaaS-based seat model. If I tell my daughter who's 2 years old to eat her broccoli, she doesn't. If I pretend I'm an airplane, she does. And that's what it's all about. It's not about the curriculum, it's about how it's applied. Zoom school and regular school have the same curriculum, but I do not need to see a show of hands to see what you or your children prefer. We make play safe, we make outcomes measurable, and we make impact scalable. How? Through a dynamic platform that meets providers, patients, and partners where they are. If you want a custom game or worksheet, we have Play Studio, our internal vibe coding tool. If you want to transcribe a meeting or a session and have therapeutic alliance scores, we have that through our Scribe. If you want cultural representation in your sand tray or Paw Patrol characters, we can do that as well. We live in the nuance.
And in terms of where we're at and where we're going, it's all about building moats and really listening to providers. At the end of the day, what is art? What is play? What is fun? It's subjective. And so what that means is we have to enable providers to personalize care, and it starts with compliance. We are compliant across the world. We are currently in 4 key geographies where we're scaling in: Canada, the US, Australia, and the UK. We have passed the ORCA assessment. We are one of 8 companies in the world that have a badge from the American Psychologists Association and the Mental Health Commission of Canada as well. We've gotten brands. Think Spin Masters Paw Patrol, a local company. We're very fortunate to be able to now build with that in health and create moats there, as well as partnerships. We've always said we want to do what doesn't exist, and we want to partner with what does. And so if we are going to be, and we are, the pediatric ecosystem of point solutions that enable provider efficiency and autonomy, then we also have to create those opportunities for that VR speech language pathologist program that might have a very narrow market, but still can have a certain use case within our context. And of course, distribution. So we're very fortunate to be at a time where EHRs, EMRs, and other platforms are opening up, and we've always anchored as a synergistic product. We are not trying to compete with the legacy channels, as well as with care providers, often who have overlooked pediatric segments that are really important and now represent the biggest opportunities for them to expand now that things have started to open up. And in terms of that traction, we have thousands of providers that range in terms of their clinical modality and approach, and we say we're approach agnostic. We also have a range of channels that we sell through, ranging from the largest franchise clinic network in the world in all states to Hall and Bloorview and CHIO here in Canada to Headspace Australia, not the Headspace most people know, which is actually the largest pediatric program in the world in Australia, and things of that nature. And so for us, it's really important to build relationships to meet the needs of these providers who are often so underserved, and to then prove it and make it scalable, because we really carry the mission on our shoulders and feel that we're a steward of that mission. So we can't rush it and break things at the expense of patients or providers who already have either been taken advantage of or ignored in the past. In terms of our team, I was part of the founding team of MindBeacon. I was very fortunate to lead the IPO back in COVID at the same time this problem arrived at my doorstep. Talk about dissonance. That's certainly one of it. I'm also on the board of Kids Brain Health Foundation and the Maternal, Infant, and Youth Child Research Network.
And I'm Brendan Herjavec. I help scale ImpBlock from $2 to $40 million and was acquired by Green Shield. Me and Matt were once mortal enemies, now have come together to solve a common mission.
Actually met on a podcast too, his podcast. So interesting story there. And then we have Dr. Cawley, who's currently one of the authors of the post-secondary youth mental health policy for Canada. We have a fantastic group of other employees. One thing just to note too for us, if you ever go on our platform and you try it, you will be speaking with a clinician for support. All of our support are either clinicians or in school to be clinicians because they understand the people that are across from them. And when we're trying to get people to adopt technology, it's important that they understand who they're talking to and the use cases, and that doesn't need to be explained to make it easier. And that's really important to us. So what are we asking for? We're asking for folks that want to learn more. We really focus today on our mission and our purpose because that's what 4 minutes affords. Pediatric health is incredibly nuanced and incredibly complex, and we would love to be able to represent how we are currently scaling dramatically in that, and would love to have the support of the Canadian ecosystem around us, as Google has been very favorable in doing for us. So thank you, guys.
Well done. Thank you. I'll just grab the clicker. I had no idea they were enemies once upon a time. Okay, well done to you both. Thank you so much. So up next is Tony from Amical. Amical offers an AI companion for people with cognitive disorders like Alzheimer's, integrated into a super easy to use phone. So over to Tony to share a bit more.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Tony from Amical. Amical is an AI companion for elderly people with cognitive disorders like Alzheimer's. Amical started in a very personal way for me. It was inspired by my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. She was in a senior care facility in Quebec. She was surrounded by a big family that will visit her nearly every single day. And yet, despite that, she will complain that she felt that she was always alone. What I realized with my grandmother is that even when I spent an afternoon with her, when I was about to leave, she will say, "You can't leave yet, you just got there." So because of her illness, she will forget the time we spent with her as we were with her. Also, she couldn't use technology whatsoever. I tried so hard to teach her how to use an iPhone or an iPad, but she wouldn't even recognize the object at this point. There's a lot of loneliness in senior care facilities. It's even worse when you have a condition like Alzheimer's because you forget, and also you can't use technology. So this is what inspired Amical, which is a phone that we place in bedroom and common areas of senior care facilities. The design of the phone is made so that it's the most simple to use. There's no screens, there's no buttons, you just pick up to talk to the companion any time of the day or the night, and you hang up when you're done. At the other end of the line, there's a companion that's available 24/7, speaks over 80 languages to provide companionship and comfort. When we started building Amical, it was at first a social companion, but the more we work on this, the more it's becoming a cognitive assistant as well. So for instance, this is a functional phone that can receive phone calls from family member, but also the AI can call the phone once a day to check in on the person, and if it detects issues, it can send notifications to either the family or to the care staff. Our business model is a subscription model, so we sell the phone $1,000 per year. We sell mostly to B2B care facilities right now in Quebec. Families love this product because it brings them peace of mind to know that there's always someone that they can talk to, even in the middle of the night. The care staff loves this product because it makes their job easier. It's great to manage crisis. It's great to just support them in their day-to-day job. And the facility directors love the fact that the care staff loves the product. It's a very tough field with a lot of staff turnover. So whatever makes the job easier makes the director's job easier as well. And it's also a great sales point to book more rooms. We've been very fortunate with Amical to have a lot of great news coverage. We've been on pretty much every TV channel in the province of Quebec. We've been featured by CBC. We've been on Dragon's Den in Quebec. We put all of those videos online, and they go viral every single time. I truly believe we have a viral product that people love to talk about, And this has allowed us to get outstanding traction without spending a single dollar on marketing. This has converted into sales, so we're now being used daily in over 80 care facilities in the province of Quebec. We crossed 40K in monthly revenue as well, with just one sales representative in the province of Quebec alone. Amical is not a medical device. We don't need to be. We're already selling to public care facilities, and we have deals with Santé Québec. That being said, we're still doing scientific study and working with researchers, geriatricians, psychologists, because we work with vulnerable people. It's important to make sure that we develop the right product for them. So we have one ongoing product right now measuring the tangible benefits of reducing anxiety, loneliness, and behavioral syndromes. We have another upcoming study as well to go deeper into the notifications. We have an amazing team. Personally, I was for 10 years in the Bay Area. I was working at Google AI Research. I have over 500,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram to promote the product as well. My co-founder has now 10 years of business experience as well, and we have an amazing technical team as well. We have a unique product that doesn't exist anywhere else in North America right now. Sales are very easy. There's little to no competition. So we're raising $2 million in order to scale as fast as possible across Canada, the US, and Europe. Our mission with Amical is to build Jarvis for elderly people. If you've seen the movie Iron Man, you've probably seen the scene where Tony Stark walks into his lab and starts talking with this ambient AI that's in the room with him. Jarvis, they joke around, they have like social interaction, but also Jarvis is very proactive in helping him in his day-to-day life. And at some point in the movie, it saves his life. So this is what we're building for people who really need this technology. This is a big market, aging population. So if you believe in this mission, feel free to contact with me. And you have this QR code that you can scan. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony. I had a chance to actually use the phone yesterday, and it was so kind and so sweet. It was calling me lovey and sweetheart, and I can see how it's a very interactive and helpful tool. Okay. All right. So up next, I'm going to introduce Gilad from Opener. So Gilad is a fantastic product. I'll let G come on out and share more. Or Opener is a fantastic product. Come on out.
Okay, awesome. I am a fantastic product. I'm Gilad, the founder and CEO of Opener. We have built an agentic workforce that generates wholesale revenue at scale. It has never been easier to start a business. You can go on Shopify and within 15 minutes, you'll have a website and a product to sell for the world. At the same time, scaling a business has never been harder. Whether it's hiring experts to bring in marketing, social media, fulfillment, operation, it's very difficult. And it's much, much more difficult when it comes to wholesale. 15 minutes to start a Shopify store actually turns into 15 months to land your first major retailer. Why is that? Well, firstly, because you don't really have a way to scale and measure wholesale revenue like you do for e-commerce, right? Secondly, is when you get in, the story is not over. You have to give those stores attention and love, otherwise they will drop your product and bring someone else. That attention means that as you grow, you have to grow your team. You have to give them the attention. That means the growth is much slower and the margins are much lower as you grow. And because of that, even when you bring in a retailer, only 5% of those would last with your brand 6 months into the relationship. So what do brands do today? They focus on the big accounts. They focus on the Loblaws of the world. And all of the rest of them, all the small retailers, become reactive. If we don't hear from them, we're not going to reach out to them. There are over 1 million accounts in North America, representing over $1 trillion every single year that are currently undermanaged. Reorders are being missed. Buyers are being ignored. They don't hear about your new products. They don't hear about your promotions. And the result of that is just missed opportunity and missed revenue. This is why we created Opener. So Opener basically create a dedicated AI account manager for each one of your accounts. Every store gets its own agent that wakes up every morning with the sole purpose of just driving your sales. The brand can set what are the guardrails? How do I like to communicate? When do I want things to be escalated to? And on top of that, Opener will find stores that look and behave like your best stores and reach out to them at scale to drive new doors and increase your revenue. How does it look like? So firstly, a brand can connect their different commerce accounts like Shopify, Faire, QuickBooks, and their Gmail. They can also upload distributor reports where many of the sales are happening. And Opener will now standardize all of the data and will assign an agent for every single store, whether if you have 10 or 1,000. Now what happened is the agent wakes up every single day, looks at the store and say, hey, this store hasn't ordered in 65 days. That is a bit longer than we would expect. So it reaches out to them and asks, hey, what's going on with the product? Is everything okay? Is it located in the right place? How can I help? And in all of that time, giving complete visibility and monitorability to the brand owner to understand what's happening. And if at any point of time we're reaching a guardrail, the brand owner will just get a message with the escalation. I already reached out twice. I can't reach out again unless I get your guidance. The brand owner just give that guidance and we move forward. Now what happens when you give attention for each one of these stores? What you see is that the revenue starts growing. Kieran, who's actually here in the crowd, right upstairs, with Heartwood Farms, an amazing product, opened more than 100 accounts with Opener. And Omi grew their fair revenue by 160% in 3 months. We're already working with over 150 brands across Canada and the USA, and we bought 25 new brands in the last 2 weeks alone. Our team has deep experience both in commerce and B2B transaction. Nir, who leads our product, spent a lot of time both in Klarna and Notch and Balance, all B2B payments and commerce platforms. Pernay, our VP engineering, scale engineering both with Joyce and was VP engineering in Devron. And I spent many years in commerce, working on Google Pay, working at Shopify, and working at Clearco. So our ask is quite simple. If you know a brand owner, just scan the QR code, and I would love to talk to them and get them into more stores. If there's a brand that you love and you don't know personally, just tag them and Opener on LinkedIn, and I'll reach out to them directly. Thank you so much, Google, for this amazing opportunity. It's been a privilege being on stage, and I would love to talk to anyone else afterwards.
Awesome. A fantastic founder, a fantastic product. There we go. All right. Okay, let's keep this rolling. So up next, we're going to hear from Arash from LandLogic. So LandLogic is an AI-powered platform that unifies zoning, planning, and land data to make real estate and development decisions faster and clearer. So I'm going to welcome Arash out on the stage to share more.
Thank you, Iran, and thank you to the Google team for having us here. My name is Arash, CEO of LandLogic. We are the land intelligence platform, and we are here today to introduce to you Parcella, our agentic AI for homeowners, protecting you, protecting the largest investment most of you have in your portfolio. I want to introduce you to Heather. Heather bought a house which caught on fire, and she had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in renovating her house. After 3 years, when the project was done, she got a letter from the city saying that she has to tear it all down. Why? Because there was a heritage designation on the property that she didn't know about when she bought the property, and she was never told about as she was going through the renovations. I've been a real estate agent for over 20 years, and I can tell you she's not alone. In fact, Canadians spend over $100 billion every year on renovation projects across the country. And an even bigger number is the $5 trillion worth of real estate that exchanges hands in Canada and US every single year. Now, based on my experience, I can tell you that a lot of those decisions are being made based on partial data. So when you think about what you think you know about your property, that's the tip of the iceberg. It's probably what you can find on real estate platforms, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, the size of the lot or square footage, and maybe an inspection report that you got when you bought the property. But I'm here to tell you that there's at least 100 different data categories that affect what you can do with your property and in turn impact the value of your property. Now, there's also a lot of government incentives that are rolled out to encourage new units that are being built at intensity. And those regulations and those constraints change very regularly. So where do you even begin to understand how these regulations and incentives affect you, the property owner? That's why I want to introduce to you Parcella. Starting from today, you can ask all your property questions from Parcella. You can ask whether you can run a home business from your basement. You can ask whether you can add a secondary unit in your backyard, or if your property is at risk of flooding. Now imagine if you're looking at a property and from the backyard you're seeing a beautiful golf course. You may want to know if there is a development application that's going to turn that golf course into stacked townhomes all the way to your property line. These are the kind of questions that you can start asking Parcella today. But we're not going to stop there. Parcella is an implementation of the agentic framework of LandLogic, in this case built for homeowners. What does that mean? That means we're going to start to build and roll out different agentic AI functionalities for the benefit of the homeowners. The first agentic AI that we are releasing today in partnership with our industry partners is our permitting agent. So if you want to apply for any sort of permit for your property, whether it's residential or commercial, you can now apply directly through Parcella. Now, over time, you're going to be able to manage your own knowledge base for your property within Parcella. So you can add your inspection report and everything now. If something breaks down in your property, Parcella now knows what equipment you have, and so on and so forth. So there's going to be a number of agents that we're going to announce, but what we have today is the permitting agent that's now live and can address all of that. Now, who are we? LandLogic started as a geospatial intelligence platform. We used to build tools for planners, builders, architects, even municipalities. And we've also built solutions for data providers such as Terranet, the Land Registry of Ontario. We built tools for them. So we started as a professional tool, and now Parcella is basically our offering for the homeowners. We've spent years going through hundreds and hundreds of different data sets and deciding which data sets affect which properties. We have coverage across Ontario, and we're expanding across Canada now. Our moat is our data and our data pipeline. And what we've done basically is we've created this data pipeline on top of which you can now build a variety of AI-enabled intelligence layers and MCPs. So, and Parcella being the first example of that. There is a small but mighty team behind this. We've worked together for a number of years. We've built a number of products already, and the expertise in the team includes both property experts as well as technology experts that have worked together to bring this together. But more importantly, we're also backed by a large group of advisors, experts, and industry partners who've helped us to get to where we are and share the same vision of democratizing data for the benefit of property owners. We extend an arm here to anybody, any of the industry partners that want to service this sector, from prefab manufacturers who are starting to onboard their design and costing into Parcella, so you can basically ask how much it's going to cost for different designs of ADUs in my backyard, to permitting systems, municipal permitting systems, who've already started integrating with Parcella. More importantly, if you own property, or if you're looking to invest, buy, renovate, or build, make sure you ask Parcella first. Here's a QR code there, and you can reach us at parcella.ai. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, there you have it, folks. Hot off the press, Parcella. Anyone here buying a new home? Thinking about it? Yeah, this could be helpful. Okay, so up next, we're going to hear from Shrey from Wave Medical. Wave Medical is dedicated to solving the multi-screen problem in healthcare by automating routine administrative actions. So Shrey, please come on out and share more.
Hi, my name is Shreyansh Anand, and I'm one of the co-founders of Wave. We're automating the routine administrative functions to help improve access to care. Now, raise your hand if you or someone you love has had to wait far too long to see the doctor. Yeah, it's basically everybody, and I've had to deal with that personally too. When I was 8 years old, my dad got into a really bad kitchen accident. We rushed to our closest hospital, where we ended up waiting over 8 hours before he finally got the help he needed. At which point, the doctors informed us if we waited an additional half hour, he would have lost his finger due to infection. The fact of the matter is, my dad was not unique. He's not a one-off. He's a situation that people face every single day here in Canada, the US, and around the world. Accessing healthcare is just extremely overwhelming, and my co-founder and I tried to figure out why is it so overwhelming. We quickly learned that while it's hard for us, the staff are overwhelmed, the doctors are overwhelmed, everyone is overwhelmed in the healthcare system. If we zoom in on an average clinic, for example, we're seeing that the average clinic is spending 30% on their admin alone. And even with all that money being thrown at the problem, the average doctor is still spending half their work week not practicing medicine, not seeing patients, but half their work week on non-billable administrative tasks. That's why we built Wave, a platform that sits on top of the pre-existing clinical databases, recognize and understand what's going on at the clinic, and automate various administrative functions, whether it be processing medical documents, filing clinical information, doing appointment reminders and follow-ups, or multi-step patient communications. With one of our clinics, for example, which is Queen Square Doctors, a large practice based in Brampton, Ontario, we're able to help do over 7,000 faxes for them in 1 month, process and complete over 1,600 multi-step communications with patients, and save them over 230 hours in just 1 month alone. By doing so, across the year, we're saving them over $150,000. And they're joined by over 320 clinics who are using our systems every single day, from coast to coast. And through this, we're making about $2.2 million in annual recurring revenue, and we're partnered with 2 of the largest healthcare systems in Canada, which is through Well Health and through Loblaw. With our solutions, we're right now bringing on 1 clinic on average every single day, and I'm very proud to share that as of last week, we completed our trial with our very first American client, and after the trial ended, they asked how early they can start paying for it. So all of this is built on the strength of our leadership team. I've had years of experience researching and looking at the confluence of artificial intelligence and medicine. My co-founder had led operational AI research at an academic hospital. Our chief medical officer is the deputy chief of family medicine at one of the busiest hospitals in the country. And our chief financial officer is the vice president at Canadian Tire, a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So what's next? My co-founder has recently moved to the United States to start working and doubling down on our American operations there, while I'm consolidating our Canadian growth here. Right now, we're looking for leads and partners who can help replicate our success here and help scale up what we've already starting to see in the US. But apart from that, please feel free to connect with us. Please feel free to join us on our journey as we continue to build a world where people like my father can get the care he deserves. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shrey, and congrats on the US expansion as well. Up next, we're going to hear from Rashab from Actuality. Actuality is an AI that automates responses to construction requests for proposals, RFPs, helping firms win more bids in less time. So Rashab, come on out.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rishabh, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Actuality. At Actuality, we are helping construction companies automate RFP responses using AI. Before starting Actuality, I worked in the construction industry for over 15 years, and I've responded to over 200 RFPs generating more than $400 million in revenue. RFPs are $1 trillion bottleneck in the construction industry. Let that sink in. $1 trillion. To illustrate this, let me walk you through an example of our customer called Ujibek. Ujibek's primary source of revenue is RFPs, but responding to them is time-consuming and resource-intensive. In numbers, it takes more than $12,000 and more than 200 hours just to respond to one RFP. And because of this, they do not respond to more than 2 out of 5 RFPs, leaving millions of dollars on the table. In the past, they have tried multiple RFP tools, but none of them really work because they do not support construction-specific workflows and integrations. And that's where we come in. Actuality is purpose-built for the construction industry, and it's super simple to use. All our customers need to do is upload the RFP document, And within minutes, a beautifully designed package is created based on your previous RFPs and company-wide information. Actuality turns a multi-week RFP grind into an afternoon, so companies can chase twice the deals, win more contract without increasing headcount. We started working on this in December of 2024. Since then, we raised $280,000 from investors like Jason Calacanis and other industry angel investors, launched the version 1 of our product earlier this year, onboarded 10 design partners. 3 of them started paying us $200,000 in ARR collectively. One of them is a multi-billion-dollar organization with 5,000 employees in the US. They're using us for one of their divisions and are looking to expand into 9 other divisions in the next 24 months. Our pricing starts at $2,000 a month and goes up to $8,000 a month based on number of RFPs. And there are a total of 11 million companies worldwide that can use our product. But as a starting point, we are concentrating on North American companies with revenue between $10 million and $500 million, and there are a total of 130,000 such companies. At an ACV of $50,000, our SOM is at $6.5 billion. With that ACV, we just need 2,000 customers to reach $100 million in ARR, and our team is rightly positioned to execute this. We are 4 co-founders. I am the domain expert. Harsh and Samir are great at product, and Luke is amazing at enterprise selling. We are currently raising our pre-seed round of $2 million to 13x our revenue in the next 18 months. We believe Actuality will become a go-to AI platform for construction teams globally, turning RFPs from a bottleneck into a growth engine. And if you would like to learn more, please scan this QR code and book a meeting with me. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rishabh. Okay, we've reached our last presentation of the day, so thank you to those who have continued to hang out with us. We'll now hear from Ryan from Accord. The Accord team wasn't able to join us today, so they've shared a video that will roll now. Thanks.
Hey there, I'm Ryan Rich, co-founder of Accord, the AI-powered revenue excellence platform. We're backed by Y Combinator, and our customers include the likes of Stripe, Samsara, and Shift4. As of this year, over 1/4 of the Fortune 500 have evaluated, purchased, or implemented a solution using Accord. Let me take a step back to the founding of Accord. I was a part of the first cohort of the Google Cloud sales team, and my brother was in a similar role at Stripe. We were top performers on the team and developed a winning process, but really struggled to document and disseminate it. We quickly realized there was a tooling gap. There's just no way to enforce real, consistent sales process and methodology adherence across the entire revenue team. Sellers simply rejected what was introduced, and it was too difficult for managers and leadership to coach to. That's why we built Accord. Accord transforms your winning sales process and methodologies into unavoidable playbooks, making excellence the only option for your entire revenue team. You invite customers into Accord workspaces and work through each part of the customer journey with them. Account executives and customer success managers know exactly what great looks like, so it's easy for them to deliver. And the revenue leadership team gets insight into each deal so they can better coach and assist. Let's jump into the Accord platform to see what it looks like. Welcome to Sassy Incorporated's Accord instance. We're looking at a deal board of our largest in-quarter opportunities. Each Accord is mapped one-to-one with an op. You can think of an Accord as a shared workspace to guide some part of the customer journey. It's important to note, each Accord workspace is created from a playbook where you can document your go-to-market methodology. It looks like the Stripe deal is about to close, so let's see how Jim's doing on this one. The summary page helps Jim control the narrative of the deal and align with his prospects. The next steps page helps Jim project manage the deal and what the implementation plan looks like. This is extremely important because some companies don't get paid until a customer is live. The resource page is a single source of truth for all documents shared back and forth. No more digging through your inbox, looking through 50 threaded emails. The team page allows everyone to understand who's involved in the opportunity from both sides and who's pushing things forward. And the discussion page helps folks collaborate back and forth and share resources. There's also an internal and external component of each workspace because we're trying to keep things simple for our prospects. For one, we can see that the internal team has mapped the organization to understand who's involved in this deal. We also understand analytics to understand what our prospects are doing and accessing to help us drive the conversation forward. On the execution page, Jim, the account executive, can see how he's executing towards the process. We can see that he's doing quite well. He might just need to do a little more multi-threading with the executive sponsor. And finally, we can see how Jim's leadership team is coaching him towards the execution of this deal. I should also note a big component to Accord is saving account executives time. So we can see here that this opportunity is synced to the CRM, so it's easy for Jim to keep the opportunity clean and up to date. After seeing the demo, it's pretty clear how Accord helps revenue teams drive their process forward, while making it easier for sellers to deliver a differentiated buying experience. After analyzing our hundreds of customers, the typical Accord customer should expect 7 figures in cost savings, a $40,000 lift in average contract value, and an increase of per rep revenue of $32,000 a quarter. I want to wrap things up with a big thank you to the Google Startup Accelerator team, especially Iran and Navini. This was an incredibly well-organized program, and I couldn't recommend it any more highly. The Google team went above and beyond, making themselves available and trying to help in any way they could. Thank you, and happy selling.
Why, thank you, Ryan. Okay, so we have reached the end of our demo day. So one more big round of applause for all of our startups who had incredible presentations today. So on behalf of myself, Navini, the whole Google team, and everyone who made this possible, a big thanks to all of you for joining us. And for the folks online, thank you so much as well. To the startup teams, congratulations on a fantastic demo day. It's been such a pleasure working with all of you, and I really can't wait to see where you all go next. Please don't be strangers. To all of our mentors and our speakers and volunteers, thank you, thank you. I see some of you in the room. Your support really means the world. And again, a big, big thanks to all of you. It's really all of you that help keep this ecosystem moving, and we appreciate you spending your Tuesday of Toronto Tech Week with us. So my final ask is please engage with our programs, connect with our founders while you're here, and share and rewatch today's demo day recording. You can scan the QR code on the screen to get the cohorts lookbook and learn more about each company. And if you'd like any direct intros, please reach out to my team. Our email is on the screen there. I'll just get out of the view. So for those of you that are in the room with us, please hang out for a little bit. We are moving to a networking and happy hour. And thank you all again so much. Take care, everyone.